Hello everybody, I'm Krasi and Saturn is turning retrograde. I will be talking about Saturn retrograde motion. Not only Saturn is turning retrograde, but Jupiter as well, Pluto also, Venus also. I will separately explain all this and what is this meaning. But Saturn needs special attention because most people are fearing Saturn. And with the time, I understood that we have no reasons to fear Saturn. But yes, he is really the planet that most people are concerned with. Therefore, I decided separately to talk about Saturn and then to explain you the other coming transits of the retrograde planets. So to see what Saturn will bring us, we need to understand again, I will remind you of his nature. First to tell you, he is becoming retrograde on 9th of May. He's turning stationary on 13th of May. He is becoming retrograde and he's going to be direct again end of September. So it's a long retrograde cycle. And I am following the sidereal astrology, which is astronomical, which is similar to the astrology of the Indian Vedics. Not exactly the same, but if you wonder which zodiac I use, it is very much like this one, and it is astronomical. So Saturn will turn retrograde in Capricorn, and he will be there with Jupiter. And this is important. Both are turning retrograde, and in the same time, all the time, during the retrograde motion of Saturn and Jupiter, Uranus will square the whole, Uranus will be squaring them. So there will be active square between Uranus and Saturn. But let's see, what is Saturn? In the ancient Babylon, people wouldn't really fear Saturn. I know I often maybe repeat this, but it's good that we remember they would fear Mars because Saturn was called the stable. Mars was called the unpredictable, or had many names. So Saturn, he was an Inurta, the hero. And he was a hero, and even his symbol was a rod with two lion heads. So he was really considered a symbol of a brave, a hero. So he's Ninurta, and he is associated, of course, with war, agriculture, truth, justice, storms, water wells, which are under the ground, stones, gemstones, also piping system under the ground. So this was, and also the southern wind. And not only the rod with the two lion heads was his symbol, but also the snakes and the plow that we use for the agriculture. And as we know, his color is black. Another very important thing to tell you, because we are not only going to see the retrograde motion of Saturn, but Saturn will be together with Jupiter. Saturn and Jupiter were called the two brothers. So they were not considered bad together, Saturn and Jupiter, two brothers. So there are many reasons behind that. And also, only technically, if we look at the natures of the planets, they are both associated with the truth, but in a very different way. And also with power, but in a very different way. And also, they are both diurnal planets, which is very important because it describes their nature as well. So, and like I said, his color is black. And he is not only, the heliacal cycle of Saturn is not only to turn retrograde, but he's also becoming invisible. And all these phases make him different. It's like he's manifesting his energies in a very different ways. So, talking about the phases. Yes, he's turning invisible for, I think, was approximately 20 days. He was already invisible. Once a year, he's invisible. But what is happening on the 1st of August during his retrograde cycle? he is going to have a very special phase. It's called cosmic setting. During the retrograde phase, we're talking about the retrograde motion of Saturn. And during this phase, he will be near Earth, visible, like very visible. And I know that his normal magnitude as a star is 1.8, which is quite good magnitude to see Saturn on the evening sky, and he can be perfectly visible now. But when in a phase of cosmic setting, he is very visible on the sky. This will be approximately 1 week around the time of beginning of August. This is, what is this? It's him, it makes him present in our lives. We will experience the presence of Saturn. And what is the presence of Saturn? Everything that he's meaning. Of course, he's the Lord of agriculture. Of course, he's the Lord of karma. Of course, he's the Lord of time. And he will make sure that the karmic lessons are being fulfilled, that what we have to, karmically, what we have to learn is taking place and we're really learning it. But let's see the retrograde phase. Now, there are many different opinions specifically about the retrograde phase of Saturn. It's very interesting. There are ancient, especially I think Vedic astrological books, which claim that when Saturn is retrograde, he's even better because he's Lord of time. And when retrograde, he's kind of turning the bad into good. I'm not really very sure that this is the fact. I've been seeing many horoscopes of people with retrograde Saturn. These people are not having necessarily difficult life. Some of them would have good achieved profession, but it's not. I don't believe that when Saturn is retrograde, he's that good. As you may hear in many places, I think that he's difficult, especially during his stationary phase. He will be difficult. When stationary, from our perspective, Saturn is immovable. He's not moving. Actually, this is from our perspective. The planets never get really retrograde or never stop really. Retrograde means that he's going backwards. He's moving backwards. This is only from our perspective, but this is how the planets influence our reality. So he will be stationary. When stationary, he has stopped. He's not moving, and with this is meaning a delay. This is meaning a temporary freezing of what he's meaning. What is he meaning? Justice. He's meaning truth. He's meaning time, agriculture, karma. So we will be in a position of 1 week until 13th of May to revise, to revisit everything that Saturn is meaning, our knowledge, everything. He will be influencing the markets and the money, not in a harmonious way. So even if we see Saturn in some horoscopes to give good results as retrograde, yes, this is possible, but there are many factors which also need to be seen. And the factors are that he's a daily planet and he's giving better results in a daily horoscope. So for the people that are born in the day, he's a little bit easier and he's manifesting his results in a little bit easier way. Another thing is that he is also related to poverty, misery. And when turning retrograde, I don't think that he will start suddenly helping this economy, which is so heavily afflicted right now. I think that this will be just the other way around. We will not see the markets and the economy fixed just because Saturn will go retrograde. The other way around. What will happen is that while he's retrograde, he's looking back to the sign that he came from. And he was until 31st, I think, January 2020, in the sign of Sagittarius. Remember what he gave in Sagittarius? He was not easy. And I even remember that old people who would contact me to analyze their birth charts would suffer from the Saturn influences in the sign of Sagittarius. So Saturn was not easy in Sagittarius. He was preparing us to what is happening now. He was opening our eyes to the truth, because the Sagittarius is where we're having the Milky Way, where we're having millions of stars, all spiritual and beautiful. So while he was there, it was like a preparation for what is coming now. Then, if you remember, we had in December Saturn Pluto conjunction, which actually is one of the reasons for the situation that we are in now. He is looking back to the sign of Sagittarius, and he will remind us the beginning of the whole situation, how he will remind us with repetition of some of these events. But they will manifest in a different way, because we are on another level of consciousness. Because why the universe is giving us such lessons? Because we wouldn't awaken naturally, and we need something to shake us, to strike us, to give us reason to wake up. This is for those that were not awakened. So what is happening? Saturn is going to remind us what happened, what is the reason behind the situation that we are in. And he is not going to be beneficial for the markets, just the other way around. Another thing, during his retrograde phase, he's receiving the square of Uranus. What is Uranus? They don't love each other. Uranus, Saturn castrated Uranus. They have hegemony. It's like they're having an argument over the sign of Aquarius. So we can say that Saturn and Uranus rule Aquarius, but I can tell you that probably they're not on the same opinion, or the divinities which rule them. And they're in a conflict, because Saturn castrated Uranus. What is Uranus? You know how interesting. I just figured out when I was thinking about remedies, in which I was recording in my previous video of yesterday, when I was explaining you about the planetary colors and how we can benefit from the planetary colors for healing purposes. And then I figured out that Uranus is ruling the pineal gland of the brain, the gland which is connecting us with God. It is connecting us with God. So this is something amazing. And Uranus, who is ruling this organ in our brains that the contemporary matrix is trying by all means to suppress, but it's not happening, because people are awakening every day. So Uranus is squaring Saturn, who is about truth, who is about discipline, who is about justice. And you can see what is happening. People are awakening to the justice a bit forcibly, because it's a square, and because they both, even though they have beautiful characteristics which kind of beautifully align together, still you can see, even by a bit by force, because Uranus and Saturn are in a square, and such aspect in the sky it cannot result in harmonious events. No way, because it's a square. It's a disharmonious square. So you see what is happening. Awakening connection with God. That's what is going to happen. And I don't want this to sound too abstract. It's not abstract. This is the reality now. Now, in this reality, in the end of times, these are the times of choice. Either we wake up, or I have no idea what's going to happen. We have to wake up, and there is a reason. And I will remind you the law of Hermes. I think it was the 7th law or principle of Hermes Trismegistus, who is saying that in the beginning of every era, we have a golden era. Golden era. What is the beginning of era? It is when the earth is entering another, like when the equinoxes and the solstices change, go to another sign. And this is related to the precession of the equinoxes of the earth. So now we have five degrees only to complete the cycle, the large, great cycle of the era of Pisces. So we, in 360 years, we are complete, approximately 360 years, we are completing this era. These 360 years are something tiny related to how huge one era is. And one era is approximately 2,500 years, roughly. So what is happening is that this is end of times because we have only 360 years. And what is happening? When there is the beginning of an era, we start with golden age of culture, beautiful societies. I have no idea. We all probably had such incarnations, we know, but we don't remember. So we don't know, but it's beautiful and had a world without wars, world with abundance. I don't know, just name it. And then immediately from the beginning of the new era, the society and the culture start to decay, they start to degrade up until they reach darkness, end of times, darkness, like what we're having now. According to Hermes, we are having end of times, darkness prevails up until the era is completed and we get light again and the golden era and the golden age. That's why it's very important now to make decisions and to awaken, because these are interesting times. So see how it's happening. If we didn't wake up by now, we have to wake up. We want it or not, it's going to happen, and each person on earth will be awakened in the end. That's for sure. But it depends how well on the person. But still, you see, Uranus will be squaring the retrograde Saturn and the retrograde Jupiter. The two brothers, according to the Mesopotamian mythology, Jupiter and Saturn, both actually can give very good results, and always both are related to significant changes in the human history. Even, I'm not sure if it's true, but I read a text, a research paper, which is claiming that even Jesus was born during Jupiter-Saturn conjunction. We don't know that. I'm just saying it. But I know that huge changes happened for humanity, especially related to, well, one of the changes which usually happens is economy, complete shifts in the economical system, complete shift in the material world of the people. This is what is happening. And it started with Saturn-Pluto conjunction in December 2019. We had the beginning of the heliacal cycle of Mars. When was this? I think it was in October 2019, who promised difficulty. And this is a fact. And he's completing his cycle in December 2021. So we cannot hope for complete peace up until December 2021. And we cannot only look at one planet, we have to look at the combination. So even if we're talking now only about the retrograde cycle of Saturn, we need to involve the other planets as well. Saying this, I'm thinking of Venus, which almost during the large part of the cycle of retrogradeship of Saturn will be aspecting. She will be helping, she will be guarding us. She will have a small period of invisibility when she will be missing her tremendously, but still there is always the good planet to be there and guard us and save us and help us and give us some joy. So yes, how the people on personal level will experience this. Now, this very, very much depends on the personal horoscopes, really, because Saturn can be very different. He can manifest in different ways. And it depends whether people are born in the day, whether born in the night, whether Saturn is exalted, whether Saturn is afflicted. But now, Saturn is in Capricorn, so he really is in his own house. He really is the king, and he is saying, now I'm going to completely reorganize, completely restructure my house. He came home. The king arrived in Capricorn in January 31st, I think it was, 2020, and all the way through the end of Capricorn, he is going to teach us lessons, to clear out his place, and wherever he is in your horoscopes, he will be changing this area of your life. How? Depends on your horoscope. If Saturn is placed good in the horoscope, you will only benefit. Why? What is meaning? What is a good Saturn giving to people? Good Saturn is giving to people knowledge. It is giving sense of justice, sense of truth, people with high moral values, and such people also, when Saturn is influencing them as a transit or primary direction or whatever, they don't suffer. When Saturn is badly placed, people really experience some miseries in their life. They would suffer a lot. They would suffer from losses, and oftentimes they would deviate from the truth. And then Saturn will be seen to be very, very badly placed. Badly placed Saturn oftentimes is showing huge difficulties and challenges with the father figure. So depends how Saturn is placed in people's charts. It really depends. Another important thing is that he's in Capricorn. So obviously the most influenced sign of the zodiac now will be Capricorn, Cancer, obviously, especially if you have Capricorn ascendant, Capricorn moon, Capricorn sun, Capricorn mid heaven, or the same in Cancer, Cancer ascendant, Cancer moon, a Cancer sun, Cancer mid heaven. Then you would certainly feel this the most, but actually everyone would feel the influences of Saturn in Capricorn and the retrograde motion, because whichever house he is in now, see where your sidereal Capricorn is. This is the house which is going through complete change and transformation. But in any case, you see Uranus, who is ruling the awakening, who is ruling the cosmos, who is the ruling astrology, who is the higher octave of Mercury, is aspecting Saturn, and they will bring us enormous awakening. There will be such a wave of awakened people only until the end of 2021, even until the end of this year, that we will be happy, I believe. So from this current situation, this is how we can benefit, connect with God. And this is our power. There is nothing else we can do right now. But this is powerful, because then we are like, nothing can harm us. This is giving amazing strength. So I hope this was informative. You are welcome to comment, and see you soon when I will be explaining about Jupiter-Saturn conjunction, and I will also be explaining about this interesting situation of all these retrograde planets on the sky. If you want to know how they will influence you, your horoscope, you can contact me. My readings and my consultations, everything is listed under this website, under this video. And also, if you want to study astrology with us, also all the links are under. Thank you for your attention.